When people looked at Walter Hayes, they saw an old janitor pushing a mop through the halls of a struggling private academy. They saw wrinkled hands, a faded uniform, a man who ate lunch alone. What they didn't see was that Walter remembered everything. And that would become a very expensive mistake. For nearly 15 years, Walter arrived before sunrise. He unlocked doors, fixed broken desks, changed light bulbs, cleaned up messes students never bothered to notice. Teachers came and went, principals retired, entire graduating classes disappeared into the world. But Walter stayed. The students called him Old Walt. Some meant it kindly, most didn't. The academy itself wasn't doing well. Enrollment was falling, bills were piling up, rumors of closure floated through the hallways every semester. Still, Walter worked quietly. Never complained, never explained himself. Then a new administration arrived. And everything changed. The new headmaster was a man named Trevor Collins. Young, ambitious, obsessed with appearances. Trevor believed the school needed modernization. New branding, new technology, new investors, new image. And according to Trevor, that image did not include an elderly janitor who looked older than the building itself. At first the comments were subtle. Maybe Walter should work fewer hours. Maybe retirement would be healthier. Maybe it was time to enjoy life. Walter always smiled, always nodded, always returned to work. That irritated Trevor, because Walter refused to disappear. Then came Amelia, Trevor's assistant. Sharp suit, perfect smile, perfect manners. The kind of person who could insult you while sounding polite. She viewed Walter as an obstacle, a relic, a reminder of a past she wanted erased. One afternoon Walter overheard them talking in the administration office. The door wasn't fully closed. Trevor laughed. "We need investors, not nostalgia." Amelia agreed. "Nobody wants to write million-dollar checks to a school that looks like it belongs in a museum." Walter kept walking, but he remembered every word. Months later the school's financial problems worsened. Teachers worried about layoffs. Parents worried about tuition increases. Students worried about losing scholarships. Then Trevor announced an emergency assembly. Everyone packed into the auditorium. Trevor stepped onto the stage. Behind him was a giant screen displaying charts and financial projections. The numbers looked terrible. The school needed money. Lots of it. Fast. Trevor explained that a major redevelopment project could save everything. A new science center, athletic facilities, modern dormitories. The future. The crowd applauded. Then Trevor revealed the problem. The school needed one last piece of land. A small wooded property sitting directly behind campus. Without it, the project couldn't proceed. Without it, investors would walk away. Without it, the school could fail. Someone asked who owned the land. Trevor's expression tightened. An elderly local resident. The audience groaned. Students rolled their eyes. Parents muttered. Trevor continued. "We've made several offers. Unfortunately, the owner refuses to cooperate." Boos echoed through the room. Trevor didn't stop them. He encouraged them, subtly, skillfully. By the end of the meeting, hundreds of people hated a landowner they'd never met. Walter sat in the back row, silent, watching, because the owner of that land was Walter. And Trevor knew it. The property had belonged to Walter's family for generations. His grandfather planted the trees. His father built the small cabin. His wife loved walking there before she passed away. To Trevor it was acreage. To Walter it was memory. The offers had never been reasonable. They were demands disguised as negotiations. Walter simply said no. That should have been the end of it. But Trevor needed a villain. So he created one. Soon students posted angry comments online. Parents blamed Walter for the school's problems. Local newspapers repeated Trevor's version of events. The stubborn old man. The selfish landowner. The obstacle to progress. Walter never responded. Not once. That silence frustrated Trevor more than resistance ever could. Then things escalated. One morning Walter found his locker emptied. His tools gone. His work schedule removed. When he asked Amelia what happened, she smiled. "Administrative restructuring. What does that mean?" "It means your services are no longer required." Just like that. 15 years. Gone. No thank you. No appreciation. No dignity. Only a security escort to the parking lot. The students watched. Some laughed. Trevor stood at the entrance with folded arms. Certain he had won. Walter paused before leaving. Not angry. Not emotional. Just thoughtful. Then he nodded once and drove away. Trevor celebrated that night. He believed pressure would force the old man to sell. Without a job. Without income. Without leverage. How long could Walter hold out? What Trevor didn't know was that Walter had never needed the job. Not for money. Not even close. The next month investors arrived for a final meeting. Everything depended on securing the land. Contracts were prepared, presentations polished, champagne chilled. Trevor walked into the boardroom expecting victory. Instead, he found strangers sitting at the table. Lawyers, auditors, representatives from a charitable education foundation. Trevor frowned. What is this? The lead attorney opened a folder. Mr. Collins, we're here regarding the transfer. Transfer? Ownership transfer. Trevor blinked. What ownership transfer? The attorney smiled politely. The campus. Silence. The room froze. Trevor laughed nervously. The school isn't for sale. The attorney slid documents across the table. It already was. 20 years earlier, when the academy nearly collapsed, a secret agreement had been created. A contingency plan. An anonymous donor had saved the school. The donor requested complete privacy. No publicity. No recognition. No buildings named after him. Nothing. In exchange, he received controlling rights that could activate under specific circumstances. Trevor's hands trembled. Who was the donor? The board members looked toward the doorway. Everyone did. And Walter stepped inside, not in a janitor's uniform, not carrying a mop, wearing a tailored suit, walking calmly, like a man entering his own home. Trevor turned pale. The room exploded with whispers. Walter had been the anonymous donor. Years ago, after selling a successful engineering company, he quietly invested his fortune into saving the academy. The school existed because of him. The jobs existed because of him. The campus remained open because of him. And nobody knew. Especially Trevor. The attorney continued. The agreement includes a conduct clause. Trevor felt his stomach drop. A conduct clause. If administrators engaged in documented harassment, coercion, or retaliatory behavior toward the donor or his family, governance control transferred immediately. The evidence was overwhelming. Emails, witnesses, termination records, public statements, everything. Trevor had triggered the clause himself. The school now belonged to the foundation Walter controlled. His position was terminated on the spot. Amelia resigned before the meeting ended. Investors withdrew support from Trevor's redevelopment plan. The crowd that once mocked Walter suddenly wanted interviews, explanations, forgiveness. He gave none, only facts. Weeks later, Walter addressed students during an assembly. The same stage, the same auditorium, the same seats, but a very different audience. He didn't speak about revenge. He didn't mention Trevor. Instead, he said, "Respect is how you treat people before you know their value." The room stayed silent. Some people are kind to power. Very few are kind to people they believe have none. No one moved. No one looked away. Walter smiled gently. The good news is that lesson can still be learned. The academy survived. The forest behind the school remained untouched. A scholarship program was built instead, named after Walter's late wife. Students benefited from it for decades. And every year, new graduates walked past a bronze plaque near the entrance. It didn't mention money. It didn't mention ownership. It didn't mention victory. It contained only one sentence: never mistake quietness for weakness. And according to those who knew Walter best, that sentence explained everything.